well, greetings, everybody. Welcome once again to the Rec Poker Podcast, sponsored as always by Running Aces Casino, Racetrack, and Hotel and website AMP. We've got another chats edition of the podcast, and we're going to talk with Barry Carter. He's a poker player, he's an author, he's an editor. You know the name. Now it's time to meet him and chat a little bit with him. First, let's introduce our panel. My name is Steve Fredland. I go by Rec Poker Steve in the Poker Stars home game. And my quote is from Eugene Ionesco, who says, "A writer never has a vacation. For a writer, life consists of either writing or thinking about writing."
Nice. That must be especially true for poker writers, because already I feel like my life consists pretty much exclusively about thinking about poker. I'm Jim Reed, Bluff Sterini in the home game. You can find out about me and all the other members of the Wrecking Crew by going to rec.poker/crew.
And I'm Rob Washam, and you can find me as Rabman50 just about everywhere. I have a quote from an author by the name of Barry Carter. Somehow managed to write 4 of the most revered poker books of all time, despite not understanding basic pot odds.
That's actually a quote from Chad from the Chasing Poker Greatness podcast, which I lifted because he's constantly disappointed with how little I seem to know about the game, despite having written 4 books on the topic.
Yeah, I got that on your Twitter feed, and I thought
I'm quoting it because I enjoyed it so much.
It's a quote of a quote of a quote, but it sounds like it applies. We'll dig into that a little bit and see how much truth there is with that. But after we chat with Barry, we are going to do the Rec Poker community happenings. As you guys know, after that, we talk about who won the home games and all of that good stuff. We will talk a little bit about our emerging partnership with the World Poker Tour, including a really cool event coming up there, the weekly tournament at Running Aces, a road trip with Run Good, all kinds of really cool stuff coming up that we'll dig into after the break. But before we do that, let's bring him in. Barry Carter, all the way from across the pond. Welcome, young man.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.
Yeah, pleasure to finally have you on. We're past the 300 show mark, and I don't know how we didn't get you on here before, but it's overdue. And welcome to Rec Poker. So tell us what's going on, man. So I think a lot of Rec Poker Nation knows your name. They know who you are a little bit, but a lot of us are like, what's this guy's story? So let's hear a little bit about your story. Where did you come from? How'd you get into the poker world? Introduce us to the man beyond the name.
Yeah, I am best known perhaps as the smaller name on some well-known poker books with Jared Tendler and Dara O'Carney, who's a friend of the show that I know. I've been playing poker for 20 years or so, and when I got very, very lucky. I just had a boring insurance job, but I started writing about poker on a blog. And a magazine, World Poker Tour magazine in the UK, contacted me and offered me money to write for them, which I thought was the most amazing thing in the world. I didn't even really know there was such thing as the poker media at the time. So I just harassed the editor of this magazine once I realized you could get paid for this stuff, and just pestered him every single week with new article ideas, and ended up pretty much like being one of the 80% of the contributions to the magazine when it was around. If people don't know what a magazine is, by the way, it's like a paper parchment that people used to read things on pre the iPad.
Weird.
And so I got my start in the poker media there. I went on to become the editor of the UK site of Poker News. And moved over to pokerstrategy.com very, very soon after Black Friday, because I thought you guys were screwed with online poker. So I went to a European site. And in the interim, I wrote 4 poker books. I actually just finished the 5th poker book. It's going to be out in a few months. 2 with Jared Tendler, The Mental Game of Poker 1 and 2. And more recently, 1 on satellites and 1 on PKO tournaments with Dara O'Carney. I used to be quite a serious player. I'm starting to become a serious player again under Dara's tutelage, but I'm mostly a recreational poker player. And what I bring to the table in those books is that I am kind of like the audience. I am not the expert. So it's, if I, as Dara explained on your very podcast, if I can understand the concepts, anyone can.
Well, and I think that's why it's so relatable. I think at least for us recreational players, and recreational is kind of across the board. There's some that desire to be pros, and a lot of us that are just sort of playing for fun still. And I mean, the books are accessible to us. Like we can understand the books, which is a great testament, because it's not easy to make something complicated simple. So a great testament to you there. I for you first caught my ear though, the boring insurance job. So I spent about 30 years as an actuary. I'm a boring insurance job. So I'm kind of curious what you were doing in the insurance field. And
even more boring.
well, I don't know.
I worked in a call center for a pensions company here in the UK.
Okay.
And used to take calls from people wondering why they had no money to retire with after they not contributed anything to their pension for 40 years or so. It was a temp job that went wrong because I ended up stuck there for 6 years. Thankfully, I discovered the wholesome world of gambling that got me out of it.
Right, exactly. Well, and that's kind of what I want to talk about, because we've talked to a couple other guests about that as well. This idea that you got introduced to this idea of poker media. You wrote an article, you got paid, and then you like harassed people. Then you started getting more intentional about it. And I know we have a number of people who are like, man, I'd love to work in the poker industry. I don't know where. Here's my skill sets, whatever. But I feel like that's one of the common themes is people that are saying, well, if you want to do it, you kind of have to pursue it. You have to be intentional. And it sounds like that's what you did, right? You didn't just kind of sit back and keep waiting for breaks. You took the bull by the horn, so to speak. Yeah.
Whatever success I've carved out, I managed to do it through sort of persistence, not particularly through talent. It's even better. Like people think that it's harder to get into the poker media now, but I strongly disagree, because I think anyone can make a YouTube channel now. If somebody wants to get into the poker media, I suggest they start by making their own YouTube channel. You will learn more about marketing, content creation, your audience, and everything else than some of us old guards in the media, poker media, do by having your own poker YouTube channel for 3 months. I guarantee you that. So you don't even need to sort of find an editor that will pay you now. You can completely go it alone, and you will probably know more than myself and a lot of my peers in a year's time if you went down that route.
I love it. And then, you build up social proof, you build up some credibility. Maybe you don't get 1 million followers, but I think so many people are looking for that. Okay, well, if only this big name would hire me and I could get my break, I know I could do well, but just start doing it, right? If you want to do it, right? If you want to write. If you want a video. If you want to vlog, right?
There's a fantastic young guy at the moment. He's got a YouTube channel. He goes by the name Greg Goes All In. And he just does 3 or 4 minute poker comedy sketches from his house. I get the impression that he started the channel because he was bored during lockdown. And he's really, really funny. He's done it all off his own back, and he managed to secure GG Poker sponsorship last week.
Wow.
And most people, I'd suggest most people don't even know who he is yet. His videos get about 7,000 views per video, but he's very, very funny, and he didn't wait for anyone to give him permission to do it. And he's carved his own little niche out. And yeah, there's hundreds of examples like that in poker, and millions of examples.
Yeah, I mean, we're all hungry for content. We're
in the world.
Sorry, there's a little lag there or something. So I think I talked over you. I apologize. But yeah, I think, we're all hungry for content. I think, people want to have it delivered in different ways. We live in this place where we can kind of get it however we want it. So deliver it in the way that's appealing to you. And there's going to be a target audience of people that are going to say, yeah, that's how I want to receive my information. So I love that too. And Jim and Rob, you guys know, just jump in. You're gonna have to talk over me to get in here with Barry, but feel free to jump in. I'm kind of curious, like with the books too. I'm very interested in this thing. Like, so you're the small name on the books, right? With Jared Tendler and with Dara, but I mean, they give you so much credit for that. And so first of all, I'm curious why you're the small name, because I think it's inappropriate, and I think they both screwed you over. But secondly, I'm just kind of I'm kind of curious, like what does that look? What did that look like? What was your role in those books? Was it similar with the two of them? Were you, were you ghostwriting or were you editing, or were you co-writing? Like, how would you characterize your role in those books?
Well, with Dara, most of the stuff was me remembering his passwords for him because he's really old.
Okay, so you were like the password keeper.
Yeah, I was that. But no, in all honesty, my role really was just doing all this. I genuinely consider Dara and Jared to be two of the great sort of poker minds in this industry.
That's
in-
not
in
what you were
what they
supposed
do.
to say.
And-
You were sorry, I cut you off, but you're
No.
supposed to just throw them under the bus. Like I don't know how much better of an opportunity I could have given you to throw them under the bus, but
No, I can't, because it was my idea to make myself the small name in both instances. Because I don't want people to think that I created their content. I probably influenced 10% of the content in terms of insight that I brought to the game. But what I did was everything they didn't want to do. There was no particular reason for Dara to academically proofread his book. There was no, Jared's not a poker player, so he shouldn't have been having to think of poker examples. I was doing all the kind of the grunt work, so their talent could sort of shine through, essentially. And I'm very happy for that to be the relationship, and I'm more than happy for those guys to be the ones that get the majority of the kudos for the books, and I'm happy just to get the money for them.
I love that. Well, right. I love it. I'm kind of curious, like, with Jared, maybe start with Jared and we'll talk about Dara as well. But like, the idea for the book, was that theirs and they approached you and said, boy, I just need some help? Or were you saying, boy, you've got so much wisdom here, you need to write a book and I can help you get there? Kind of, how did that look?
It was different with Jared. I got into contact with Jared when he was relatively unknown in the poker industry. And we realized that we could mutually help each other. He needed kind of an inroad to the poker world, with help with marketing and things like that. At the time, that was me getting in magazines, because magazines were the thing at the time. I personally wanted help with my own mental game, because I used to be the guy who would throw his keyboard across the room. So he gave me coaching. I was kind of his agent, as it were. So when he decided he wanted to write a book, he asked me if I wanted to go in with him on it, and I said sure. With Dara, it was different. I had the idea to write the 2 books. I knew there was a satellite book that had to be written, and there was only one person that I ever thought I could write it with, and that would be the guy who was, well known for being the best satellite player of all time. So I actually contacted him in that instance, and we formed a pretty good writing partnership, because we've just finished our 3rd book together and we're already thinking about the 4th one. And I'm pretty much going to sort of exploit him until he dies with as many books as possible, really. Which could be sooner than you think, because he's old, as I mentioned. So
yeah. You got to get those in there, tap his brain as much as possible. But I mean, I know Jim's got a question, but I mean, he, in all seriousness, I know you're being humble and being serious about them too. And I know he has so much respect for what you bring to the table too. So it seems like you guys are pretty good as far as, the chemistry and ripping on each other. But boy, it seems like there's really something of substance there.
There is. I mean, Jared and I had a very, very, we had a bit of a clash of working styles. I get things done quickly and I don't mind breaking things. Jared is a real perfectionist.
Okay.
So it was difficult for me, because he wanted to do so many revisions of the book, for example. But ultimately, it's become one of the most successful poker books of all time. So I'm not going to denigrate that. With Dara, I mean, me and him just get excited and we crank out the content quickly, and we can produce a lot. Both very different relationships, but both of them have been sort of lots and lots of fun to do.
So I guess my question's kind of tied into that, which is, it sounds like the answer is adaptability, but I was going to ask you, like, what qualities make for a good ghostwriter or collaborator in this way? Like, what kind of strengths should other people that are interested in having this kind of a role in the industry, whether it's in poker or in other hobbies of their own, what kind of strengths do you feel like you can bring to the table in that way?
I mean, I guess the only thing I can say is that I was just genuinely curious about what both guys had to say, and I wanted to learn more, and I wanted to be better at the things that they were talking about. So I think that brought a sort of natural enthusiasm and curiosity for the content. Beyond that, I'm not entirely sure. I mean, I've been very lucky. Both Jared and Dara are very, very easygoing guys. We've got very, very similar senses of humor. I trust them both unequivocally. So I think to an extent, I've been quite lucky with the writing partners that I've worked with. But you know, like, maybe the most fun I've had, like, with Jared, Jared and I released the book on Black Friday. It was the worst possible time to ever release a poker book. So Jared and I became like best friends I'd say in the marketing aspect of the book, because we thought this book was going to sell 0 copies. So, like, we went through some stuff. With Dara, like, the most fun part of the book for me is when he and I do solver work together, because it's just fascinating, and he still finds it fascinating, even 15 years as a pro or whatever. So yeah, I've just been lucky to partner with 2 great guys, to be honest, and there's a kind of a genuine enthusiasm for the content in both relationships.
I love that. I love the idea of being curious about things. I know, back in my day of corporate leadership too. I mean, that was always the one thing I was looking for in people. Just, are they curious? And I think that's how you change the world. That's how you create good poker content. That's how you become a good editor, right? You gotta be curious about things, because you can't just reiterate what's always been done. So I love that. So I'm kind of curious, like, the roles that you've had in the books, the roles that you've done with other, poker media and kind of in the industry. Is there something that really stands out as like, this is what I just love to do more than anything? Is it what you're doing with Dara now? Are there other things that maybe you haven't been able to do for a while that you'd love to be able to get back into? Like, what really turns your crank?
The thing I'd really like to get back into is anything to do with live poker, because I've been in my house for 18 months now for obvious reasons. So even though it wasn't a massive part of my career generally, I'd go to a few events a month. When I worked for Poker News, I used to go to lots and lots of events. I'm desperate to get back and do that, just because it's been lacking. I'm going to my first live poker tournament this weekend, actually. But no, the thing I enjoy the most is just learning something new, writing about it and getting paid for it, which is what I do with the books with both those guys. So yeah, the working with Dara and looking at solvers kind of reignited my passion for the game in a way that I never thought I'd get back again. It feels like I'm learning it for the first time again, which is really nice.
So what is the big appeal for live poker? Like, what is it, if you put your finger on it? Is it, just in your words, kind of what is the thing with live poker? Why do you love it so much?
Oh, I don't. I'm looking forward to being bored at the tables. I just miss I miss being bored at the live poker tables. I just miss. I joke. The early parts of live poker is always quite boring to me, but there is nothing more exciting than being deep in a live poker tournament. 3 tables left, people looking over at the other table to see if someone's bust out because of the pay jump, all that stuff. I absolutely love the last bit of live poker. I find the beginning bits boring, but I miss talking to people who, I can't, other than a good friend of mine who plays poker, who goes to my gym, I haven't even been face to face with someone from the poker world for about 14 months. The last time I went to an event was probably about 3 weeks before people knew what COVID was. And that was a pretty massive event. And in hindsight, everybody in the room was coughing a lot. But that's the last time I did it. So I just miss being around people, because when you work from home for, 13 years now in my case, then you do definitely make sure that you carve out time to be face to face with people.
Yeah, you're looking for those outlets. Now, I want to take a little break here and just explain something to Jim, because this might help Jim. So in a tournament, you start with a whole bunch of people. And I know you know that part really well. But then if you stay in a tournament, if you don't bust, it actually reduces the number of tables. So like what Barry's talking about, eventually there gets to 3, 2, and then 1 table. So if you ever
makes
seen
a lot of sense,
like standings where people finish like first, second, or third or whatever, that's kind of what Barry's talking about. So
I've been wondering about that.
Okay, yeah.
No, thank you. That's really helpful, Steve.
Yeah, you're welcome. Did you have something, Jim?
Yeah, well, as you can see, I have a lot of need for studying in my poker life. So I had a question for you, Barry. Because you must feel like you're learning about poker all the time just by doing your job, writing awesome poker books with amazing poker minds. So I feel like I learn a lot about poker just by interviewing people like you every week, talking to geniuses like this in our study sessions and stuff like that. But I also find I need to take some active studying time if I want to actually improve as a player meaningfully. Now, you mentioned earlier you're kind of thinking about getting more into playing or becoming a more serious player. Are you taking active study time? Are you thinking about areas in your game that you need to improve? And then how do you, with all your experience already, choose to study and invest in that part of your game?
I'm afraid I don't have a very helpful answer, because my study is writing books with Dara Akani.
Right.
It takes up a lot of my time, and I'd say the interesting thing about it is because I've been working with him for the better part of 3 years now, there's certain aspects of poker I'm really, really good at. I am good at anything to do with ICM. I'm very ICM aware, but there are big gaping holes in my game because it's not been something we've wrote in a book yet. Like hand reading, I definitely have a lot of leaks with hand reading. I'd say I've got quite a few leaks where bet sizing is concerned as well. And that hasn't particularly come into anything that we've written yet. That will be the next book that we're working on. So I don't have a helpful answer. The one thing I would say is that when you learn something, if you then write it up as something to present to somebody else, I actually think that's a great way to really embed the knowledge, because I've heard it's a great way of sort of aiding memory in general. But also, I think when you articulate to someone who's better than you what you think you should do in a situation, what you think this theory applies here and stuff, it puts you in a kind of a vulnerable position where you're going to get feedback. So whilst I don't think everyone can write best-selling books with elderly Irish professional poker players, you can sort of mirror some of the things where you create content for other people, put it on a forum. A forum would be a fantastic place to do something like that. Get feedback, don't be afraid to be wrong about it, and revise it.
Yeah, and I know just the process of actually having to put thoughts in your own words, to have to actually describe a concept in your own words, that does wonders for your brain. Like, it just makes your brain engage with the concept in a different way. So whether you're talking to a friend about it or sharing it with a coach, or like you say, just putting it in the forums here at Rec Poker so that everyone can share their ideas. And I think there's something really valuable about that, like putting yourself out there and making yourself vulnerable to other people as well. That's
absolutely. I still think if you can't afford expensive solver technology, talking to a better poker player who's not afraid to share their opinion is still one of the best ways to learn the game.
I love it. So I'm kind of curious, like, as you've described your relationship with Dara, as you've talked about your game and where the gaps are you just simply influencing him to write books about what you need to learn in your game? Is this, it feels like the tail's wagging the dog a little bit here.
I genuinely am. The next book we've just finished is a book on the topic of ICM as it relates to regular tournaments, not specialist tournaments like satellites. And we both had that idea at the same time because it was a natural third book to sort of a trilogy that we'd written. But the next book really is essentially a GTO book for, we're giving it the working title of GTO for normies, because it's like, basically, again, if Barry can understand GTO, then anybody can. And I'm pretty certain Dara wants to write that and is excited about it. But my ulterior motive is that we'll have 5 books out at this point. I can't have 6 books out and still be bad at poker. So this one has to be the one where I learn how to play sort of post flop quite well.
Well, yeah, because it makes me wonder if at some point he's going to be like writing a book like, how to balance your checkbook, or I mean, if you're just kind of like whatever you're struggling with in life, pretty soon it'll become a Dara O'Kearney book, like how to discipline your dog. So I'm back to the writing stuff, because I'm always intrigued by writing. I've tried to write books a little bit myself here and there, and I'm not, you feel like you got all these great thoughts, right? But it's hard to write. It's hard to actually write. And I'm kind of curious, before your call center days or whatever, when you got into writing, did you always consider yourself a pretty gifted writer? How much of this kind of came naturally? How much of it was, and I know you're always working at your craft, but like, were you just always pretty good with putting words to paper?
I think so. What I was really natural at was just producing, like just getting X amount of words done, good or bad, like I had always had an urge to write. And I've always been of the school of thought that if you struggle with writing, the best thing you can do is just write something bad. Just know you're going to write something bad, and you can edit it afterwards. You can write absolute gibberish for an hour, but just write, and something will come out. And then I actually think the process of writing itself, yields better writing as you go along. So to anyone who wants to write and who struggles with writing, I just say get over the perfectionism and just put words on paper and don't be afraid for it to be bad, and you can always edit it afterwards.
Yeah, and I don't know, is that is it Anne Lamott or one of the authors that just calls it the shitty first draft kind of idea?
Yeah. I've heard quite a few different well-known writers say. I mean, there's another one I like, which is write drunk, edit sober, which I think was like, I think that was not Edison. Who's the other guy? I think it was Edgar Allan Poe who said that. I'm not sure.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I might be wrong. And but yeah, I mean, like the thing is, it's not difficult to write a 2,000 word article if you're prepared for that 2,000 word article to be terrible. But you've got 2,000 words, and you can edit it, and you can like, I'll keep that, I'll leave this. So yeah, I just say get over the perfectionism and just put something down on paper. Nobody has to read it except for yourself.
That's so good. I love that idea. And for people that are kind of aspiring authors, whether that's for articles or books or whatever, just start writing. Like that is the hardest part, just to start. And once you've started, don't self-edit, just dump it out there.
Every single book I've wrote was just an hour in the morning every day, except for the sort of the sessions I'd have with Dara, like one-on-one. It was just an hour in the morning every single day at the same time, and then before you know it, a book was written. So it's that sounds overly simplified, but that really was the process for the most part. Just get 500 words done every single morning, and within in like 100 days or something, you've got a book.
So
you have to edit it like months.
So the complicated journey. How do you write a book? Write words.
Yeah. It really is that simple.
Jim?
Hey Barry. So a lot of people talk to me about, if I could just put an hour in each day, I'd get better at poker, or I'd write the book I want to write. Or so how have you managed to have some success actually putting that hour in each morning, even when you're not always motivated to, or like, because I think even just people being able to fill that hour every morning would do wonders for a lot of folks.
Yeah, I mean, it won't work for everybody, but I'm a creature of habit. So just habit, the same time every single day. And, yes, you will be just staring at your screen sometimes and nothing will happen. But at the same time, every single day is the big thing for me. And the other thing, which is a bit of a cheat, is I actually have a bunch of apps on my computer, on my phone, that block distracting websites at certain times of the day. So I can't get to Twitter, for example, until 11 o'clock in the morning. I used to block my email out, but nobody uses email anymore, so I've kept that up. But yeah, I can't get to social media before 11 o'clock in the morning. And I also sometimes block social media between the hours of sort of like 2 and 4 o'clock as well, because that's the sort of time when I tend to sort of get distracted. So if you can put yourself in a position, put your phone in another room, put whatever distracts you in a different room and do things at the same time, and you will something eventually will come out of you onto the page.
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever study or whatever you're trying to do.
Yeah, it's a boring answer, but it's a really good answer, Barry. And I think people want to just get this like magic bean they can swallow it in the morning and everything's going to be great. But unfortunately, it's discipline and knowing yourself enough to know your weaknesses and avoid them if you can. So yeah, thanks. I'm working on that too, my man.
Coming from the biggest creature of habit I know. Jim's like, well, just block your time.
Just block your time.
I can't block my time. So I'm kind of curious, as an author yourself, like, are you an avid reader? Do you read poker books? Do you read other books? Like, how avid of a reader are you, and what do you enjoy reading?
Not poker books too much these days, actually, which is really silly, but I guess I'm scared of accidentally plagiarizing some of the really good ones. The most recent poker book I've read is Modern Poker Theory, Michael Acevedo. It's an absolute masterpiece. It is definitely the best poker book written in the last whatever span of time it's been after Mental Game of Poker. But there you go. But no, I do read a lot. I must say, I haven't read that much recently. I tend to recently I've been falling asleep when I read, which is a new one. I think that's just my age.
Is that
hanging out with Dara too long?
But I haven't read as much since I've been playing poker more. I think I have a certain amount of cognitive energy every single day, and reading has suffered a bit. But generally speaking, I am a big reader. Yeah.
I thought that was the whole point of books, is to help you fall asleep. I didn't really understand there was another purpose to those. I thought that's what they're for.
My wife so often comes in to see me like this with a Kindle on my face.
my wife is a huge avid reader. Like, just she's reading all the time, and so yeah, I'm always pulling books off of her face or whatever at night too, but not Kindle, like the actual book. So she's a big reader, but I've never really been able to get into reading. But it was a nice segue. So Rob Washam right here leads our book study for Rec Poker, and it's Michael Acevedo. I mean, that's what's being studied, which is going to take about what, Rob? What do you think? Like 12 years to get through?
I think we might be able to do it in 11.
It's a dense book.
It's there's so much there, so many rabbit holes to go down.
So very kind of, I know we're running out of time here, but just kind of what's up next? Like, what do you got on the horizon? Obviously, you're continuing to work with Dara. Do you have any free time? Or you have any projects in that free time? Do you want to write a Rec Poker book in the free time? I mean, what would you like to do? Like, give us a little bit of lay of the land. Like, what's coming up? What's your life look like outside of working with Dara?
Well, when we finished the satellite book, we'd already had the idea for the PKO book, and when I sent Dara a message to say, it's done, it's published, it's going to be on Amazon today, well done, big day, pop the champagne corks, his first response was, when are we going to start working on the PKO book? Like, didn't even take a second.
Didn't even say thanks.
And the same thing happened with him in the new book that we're just about to finish on ICM. And this time around, at least I'm in on the thing, and we've already started. Like, we're going to have our first talk about the new book. How to teach Barry how to play post-flop, probably this week. So we're going to jump straight into that, to be perfectly honest. But other than that, I mean, all I want to do in addition is play some live poker in the next sort of 6 or 7 months. Because of the pandemic, and in the UK, we've been locked down probably a little bit more than most countries. All my ambition for the next year is to just do the things that we used to do, like go to a bar with friends, go to nightclubs, not that I did that much, go to restaurants, go and play live poker, go for trips somewhere. So beyond working on the next book with Dara, it's just getting out of the house more, really. It's humble, but it's really important.
That's what I was going to kind of ask you. If and when, things go back to whatever normal is, what are those things that you want to do? So obviously play live poker, but you said travel a little bit, like, so as an American, of course, everything revolves around me. I only think through my eyes, but I like to talk to people that live in other countries and say, all right, so if you travel, from the UK, where do you go? Like, what does travel look like? Is it within the UK, or the certain countries you like to visit? Like, what is your sort of ideal travel?
Yeah, it will be other countries. My wife and I have just had a UK staycation where we go to different parts. We went to London and stuff like that.
Yep.
And that's pretty boring. Like, I don't want to go to my own country again.
Yeah, London sounds super boring to me. Yeah,
it's weird going to going to the same country, and the hotel shows the TV that you've been watching all year.
Right, it's the same weather person. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the next place we want to go to when all the restrictions are lifted everywhere will be Berlin. We want to go there next year. And then I think we'd like to go to the States again. We got married in New York. Want to go and see Jared. He's in Philadelphia now. Something like that. So in 2022, I'd say probably Berlin and the States will be where I'd like to go. But my wife and I, we just like city breaks in places like Berlin or Italy maybe, or Europe, Scandinavia or something like that.
Yeah.
Just places that look similar to us, and they can speak English, thankfully. But we feel really cultured for having gone.
Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, travel is something it's hard to even imagine right now, but I know a lot of people chomping at the bit. So, all right. So the project with Dara, anything else you want us to know about? I know you're a fun follow on Twitter. So at Barry_Carter, right? I think I got that right. How else should people connect? They're listening to you like, man, I like this guy, or they're like, man, I didn't realize he wrote all those books. I mean, I need to connect with the guy. How do they do that?
Oh, Twitter's the best one. Twitter is the worst thing in the world, and I'm totally addicted to it. It's the new smoke. It's the new smoking. I'm just as bad as everybody else on Twitter, and I just mostly log in to see if anyone has liked my most recent joke. But yeah, that's if you like this interview, just please like one of my snarky little jokes on Twitter. That's the way to do it.
Nice. All right, Jim, did you have something?
No, I just wanted to. He is a fun guy on Twitter. He's always putting good stuff out there. So yeah, do give him a follow and throw some likes this way.
Yeah, Barry, if there's anything that we can do, I mean, what we love doing is we love connecting with people that we think are good for the poker industry. We tend to avoid connecting with people we don't think are good for the poker industry. Like we're all about community. So if people are like pro community, we think they add to the community. We love them. We love to promote them. So if there's anything that comes down the pike that you're like, man, I want to get this, an additional little bump or whatever too, don't hesitate to reach out. We told Dara the same thing. Like, we think you guys are good for the poker industry. You're good for recreational poker. You're good for the love of the game. So, I'll try not to pat you on the back too many times, but like,
no, it's my pleasure. I like what you do because recreational poker players have not really got a voice in the industry, despite making up the majority of the industry.
Yeah.
We have this thing in the UK, pub poker leagues, where people just go and play in bars.
Yep.
And you'd think that the industry would have jumped on that as one of the greatest opportunities to get new customers to online poker sites. No, everybody just ignores them. They turn their nose up at them. So anything that sort of appeals to recreational poker players, and the poker industry can sometimes be a little bit elitist in that regard. We do tend to put high stakes poker players on a pedestal and stuff like that. So no, it's really nice to see recreational poker players actually have some sort of voice, because they are the majority. Well,
I appreciate you saying that. I mean, that's how people become pros. I know in Minnesota where we are, there's 2 casinos, one's running tournaments now, and so on a given night, there's maybe a couple hundred people playing in a tournament. Well, there are literally 5,000-10,000 people playing in bars that same night across Minnesota because of the bar leagues that are out there. And so that is part of what we're doing, is we're trying to help those people get more confidence so they feel like they can go to a casino, they can move from their home game to a casino and hopefully build it that way. And yeah, get a voice. Like, what do these people think? So I appreciate you acknowledging that. We feel like we're serving them, but I think we are also giving them a voice as well. So appreciate that.
Well, one last thing I'd say in that, the bar leagues in the UK, what would tend to happen is they tend to have a league and then have a grand final in a regular casino. And for years and years and years, I used to notice that the regulars from the casino used to denigrate the players and just pull them up for some etiquette breach that they'd made because they'd never played live in a casino and stuff like that before. And I always used to get on my nerves. The last time I was in a casino with the bar league players coming in for the first time, that was the first time I noticed that the regulars in the casino realized that they should be nice to them. And they realized that, just like when you see someone who's learning to drive, you should be a bit more patient with them because you learned once. So that was the first time I'd seen the regulars in the casino realize that they're an important part of the industry and probably the only reason why they'll make money at playing poker. And unfortunately we had a big pandemic straight afterwards, so we weren't able to carry that momentum going.
No, but I love that. We've been beating that drum so long for a number of reasons. You want to grow the game, you want more entries, you want bigger prize pools. Why would you denigrate people that are playing the game? Secondly, you think they play poorly. Like, you hear those comments like, oh, there's a bar league player, like it's some sort of a real negative thing. Well, I would just ask them, so do you think they're making a lot of mistakes? Yeah. Why do you not want them to come back? Like, I don't understand the logic. Well, they sucked out of me. Yes, they did that, whatever. But okay, they make a lot of mistakes and you don't want them to enjoy their experience. I don't understand the logic.
This is what people used to say about internet players. Like, oh, wow, as an internet player, he sucked out on me and stuff like that. And you think we know by now as a collective.
Right. It's like, we're like poker players, the best ones, right, are the most logical people around, right? Because it's all logic, right? Okay, here's my decision tree and I'm thinking this through, and if I do this and they do that, and what does that bet size mean? But we can't do the logic that says that we shouldn't berate bad players. I don't get it, but it's there. And I think it's just our own ego or whatever that's getting in the way. Like, typically they don't berate people for playing bad and not getting there. I guess they only berate people that play bad and get there, I guess is the logic, I guess. Well, Barry, man, a pleasure to meet you. Pleasure to have you on the show. Again, if there's anything you need from us, let us know. We'd love to connect you with the masses. We think what you and Dara, especially now, are bringing to the table is so accessible to the recreational player. Like the poker satellite strategy book, the PKO strategy book, the ICM thing that's coming up, all this stuff is so accessible. So recreational players follow Barry on Twitter at Barry_Carter. Check out the books. If you can't find them or whatever, reach out to us. We'll tell you how to connect. But man, it's a pleasure to meet you and appreciate you joining us from across the pond.
No, pleasure's mine. Thank you very much.
All right, take care, young man. You can sign out there. We're going to jump into our sponsor or our advertiser or whatever we want to call him. Jim, you want to hit us with Jonathan?
Have you ever wondered whether you should call a preflop raise or 3-bet instead? What do you do when you have a flush draw? Do you raise it or do you just call? What do you do with ace-king when you miss the flop? Are you tired of guessing about what the right play is with your particular hand? Well, my name is Jonathan Little, and I am a 2-time World Poker Tour champion and creator of PokerCoaching.com, where we offer over 1,000 interactive hand quizzes where you play a hand and then get real-time feedback from our world-class pros. Don't guess and don't stress. Just register for your free account at PokerCoaching.com/recpoker right now.
Do it. PokerCoaching.com/recpoker. Do it. Support Jonathan, support us. Learn the game, have a blast, all that stuff. So, all right, community happenings. I think this one we're actually, I know, just full transparency, we're recording this August 16th. I think we're releasing this one tomorrow, right, Jim? This is
we're doing the rush overnight delivery.
Our 1-day turnaround. So we're just going to pretend that we're recording it on August 9th, just for all of you people. But 1-day turnaround. But
it's like the old days, Steve. You used to do this all the time. It was always an overnight turnaround. How did you do it? How did you do it?
Man. It was a nightmare. You just stay up late. I mean, I don't know. You record and then you stay up late and then you turn it around. You just do it. But now so we got normally a little more breathing room in here, but we had to kind of rearrange the schedule for this one. Well, a couple quick updates before we get to the home games. I'll just share a couple things. You guys feel free to chime in. But World Poker Tour, you guys.
Oh my God.
We've inked the deal because we're airing this tomorrow. I don't think I can reveal everything. But pretty soon we're going to have a web page for this thing. It's going to be rec.poker/WPT. So if you're curious, just go check that out. Maybe by the time you hear this, it's live. At the end of the day, we're going to do an online event free through Club WPT. And the winner of that's going to win an entry into a $2,500 live tournament in California in December. So a lot more with that. There's other prizes going to be given away and stuff, but details will be out there. We couldn't be more thrilled to be partnered with the good folks there for sure.
Yeah, I just love hearing those two words together, Rec Poker and WPT and Club WPT, putting tournaments together and live events. That's just, however that shakes out, that sounds exciting.
It's perfect. It's going to be so much fun, you guys. I am very excited about it.
Steve, it's been a while since you were just putting these podcasts out overnight. Now look at you. We're doing editing over the course of a week, partnering up with Club WPT. Look at you, bud.
I still don't sleep, but it's just for different reasons. But I like these reasons better. Talking to the WPT is a lot more fun than editing video and audio. It does turn out more fun. Another thing, so the running aces thing, so they've been working on trying to get these tournaments going. It's a bear, you guys. And so we're asking on their behalf for a little bit of grace, a little bit of mercy as they're trying to get this going, and then things change or whatever. The tournament director is trying to get things pushed through and blah, blah, blah. Right now, Tuesday, August 24th is supposedly the kickoff. They said this one seems for sure. They think they got everything figured out. The 24th, Tuesday morning, 10 a.m., $140 tournament at Running Aces. For those of you in Minnesota, it is branded the Rec Poker Weekly Tournament.
Cool.
We're just kind of there to help promote the thing, help people get there and tell people about Rec Poker. So, they're working through all the details on that, and it's difficult when you don't have any staff. Turns out it makes things a little more difficult in that situation. Sense. But follow us, follow Running Aces for all the details. It is on their website now, runaces.com, to get the information on that tournament. We're also next week. A few of us are going down to California. We got 5 of us.
Florida.
5 of us in 4 beds in Florida. So it's going to be fun. I think I'll get couch a little bit, but that's all right, man. So we got the Airbnb. We got it pretty booked. If you're looking for couch or floor space, we do have some of that available. But we're going to be down for the Run Good Poker Series, Seminole Casino in Coconut Creek, Florida. It's going to be a blast. So August 23rd, most of us are heading down there for that deal, hoping to bring home a ring or some other hardware or just fistfuls of cash.
Yes,
that would be good too. And if you're interested in staking that, we are piloting our Rec Poker staking deal. So this is kind of our first dry run. We got 3 of us that are putting a little bit of staking out there. A few people have invested in that sort of thing. We're setting up all the systems so that Rec Poker can be an administrator of kind of arranging deals between investors and poker players where everybody's trusted, everybody's vetted, that kind of thing. So we're testing that. If you're interested in either investing now or maybe being staked later, just reach out to me, Steve at rec.poker. There's information out at rec.poker/staking as well. And so with that, let's home games. I know we don't have a Somsky, so I don't know what the plan is here. What are we going to do?
Yeah, I can jump in here and
Are you
cover
the
for the great
Somsky?
one just
Rob,
for a
you have to
second.
interrupt him a
Yeah.
whole bunch, Rob.
I'll try.
And I already, I've hit all my audio cues so far. So maybe if I mute myself by accident, I can really encapsulate the full Somsky. We'll go full Somsky here. On August 4th, Marbles Jam, Jefferson Kupferberg, won the Wednesday night tournament, which is, he punched his ticket to the end of the year Tournament of Champions. So congratulations, Jeff. On the 2nd, Hot Rod Bunny won their second daily. Don't Chase 666, Joseph Armstrong came in for a win again, winning their 5th of the year. Philip Fuhrer, MN Ted, shows up in the daily / nightly tournament series. He's won a few of these by now. Poker Cat 36, Naomi Pazol wins.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, Pazol.
She's big in the. She works with Plon a lot.
Yeah, I recognize the name. Yeah. So congratulations, Naomi, and on your first pin, I think. So that's exciting. And I think Poker Cat, she's also a really fun follow on Twitter. I think if it's the same person I'm thinking of. So cool. Go give her a follow as well. And then my buddy Dave, Evil Roy CA, comes in with his 3rd nightly win of the year and 5th lifetime, if I'm reading this correctly. He's not your
buddy just because he's from Canada.
No, we all know each other.
Hey, buddy.
Yeah, right.
There's more than, you taught me there's more than one town in Canada. I didn't know that.
You know, the funny thing is I've actually met Dave since he became a premium member. I was over near he lives near my mom in Toronto.
Okay. Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah, if you can believe it. Yeah.
Right.
So
everybody's your buddy in Canada. I feel like there's like little, he doesn't say anything about buddy this one, it's American.
No, it's just the cream rises to the top, Steve. Nice. Speaking of which, so here's Rob Adsom coming in, winning the mixed event. No surprise there. Rob's a killer. So Captain Walleye, congrats there. And on the international event, Rick Rock Omen, Rick the Good Dog, came in and dropped some knowledge on the rest of the players there for his 4th international series this year and 5th lifetime. And I'm just going to point out that morning tournament on Saturday, that international series at 8 a.m. Central, 9 Eastern, there's a good chance to get in there and play a small field tournament and maybe earn yourself your first bronze pin and a ticket to the monthly Tournament of Champions. There's usually a pretty small field for that Saturday morning tournament, so don't be shy to jump in there.
It didn't run, and Somsky's still trying to figure out what the heck happened there. So
the only thing I can think of is maybe it was underattended to the point where they didn't put it together, because it should run normally. Yeah, John's such a wizard with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but us guys in the West Coast have to get up at 6 in the morning.
That's right.
I haven't played one of those.
Get up that early.
I'm in Central Time Zone. I still haven't played one of those bad boys.
I had my alarm set for 8:45 for a few weeks in a row. I think that's where I got my bronze this year. So don't be shy, folks. Jump in that Saturday. If I can win a bronze in there, you can win a bronze.
Oh, that's so true.
And the and the Sunday night LPP tournament, MN Ted Philip Fuhrer jumped in again to win his first LPP tournament. And I actually got an email from him already. He's no fool. He knew if you win the Sunday tournament at Rec Poker, you win a free month at Learn Pro Poker. All you got to do is email this guy, Jim at rec.poker. And I will set you up with everything you need. So congratulations, Phil. And thanks for all that you do for the poker world.
Yeah, nice work, Phil, for sure. So, Rob, you want to chat about a book study at all?
Yeah, I think I have to apologize to everybody for as long as it's been since we've actually had a book study. But I think I've got it figured out how I can make it happen, even if my computer is not working properly. So I'm using my iPad today. As you can see, it's a little bit of a different vibe, but I'm using my iPad so at least you can hear me. And I can use my computer to share my screen for the slideshow. So I think we can make it happen. So let's see, it won't be this week, but next week, I believe. Is that right? Yeah.
Oh,
It'll be
actually,
next week.
yeah. It depends on how the
No, it
release
says-
comes out. It will be
it says-
this week. People will hear it this week
Yes, it
on
will be
the
this week on the
August
18th.
18th. Yeah. And
On
then the
this
next
18th.
one's on September 1st. If people are getting a little behind, come join Rob on September 1st for the next one.
Yeah, we'll be doing, since this is coming out tomorrow, everybody will be able to hear it. We'll be doing on Wednesday, we'll be doing session 8, which is MTT Equilibrium playing first in. So that's what we'll be. So if you want to read up, make sure you're ready and come and join us, because any premium member can join us, and it gets to be quite a good discussion when we get 8 or 9 people talking about this book.
Yeah,
no
fantastic.
lie.
And all the prior videos are available too. So if you're a premium member or want to become a premium member, you can go back and catch up if you want. We talked about it briefly with Barry. Just it's a pretty intense book, but it sounds like you guys are having some pretty awesome conversations. And I'm not surprised if you're having tech issues. The ship can't go, man. You're the fearless leader.
That's right.
Well,
That's
it's kind of tough to make it happen without the proper infrastructure.
Yep. Well, no, especially with that book for sure. But no, I'm sure people are just fine. And, it's August in Minnesota. Like we have, 4 weeks of summer here. So I'm sure people are happy to take advantage of it as well before they batten down the hatches in September and the snow starts flying. Good stuff. Hey, so Jim, do you want to talk about the Twitch stuff at all with Taylor? Is there?
Yeah. So this
is
is awesome. So Taylor's really been jumping in on the twitch.tv/rec poker channel, which we're really effectively just started a month ago. We've already got a bunch of people following and subscribing. He's giving away prizes every Thursday night. He streams us playing the home games, totally free to join this Twitch stream. You can win some staking with him. You can win a merch coupon at Rec Poker. You can win a Rec Poker membership prize. I think there's a couple other prizes he likes to give away too. And then we also
do a staking deal for like a ACR tournament.
Yeah. And he has some 50-50 stuff. It's super fun. And he really, he dedicates himself to sharing his thought process as he's playing the game. And Taylor's definitely one of the more gifted players that we've got here at Rec Poker. And so having him just give it all away for free like that on Twitch is fantastic. And then we also have a program where you can subscribe for free with Amazon Prime, and that costs you nothing. It puts a little something in Taylor's pocket and Rec Poker's pocket, which we appreciate. And it also means that you're entered into a bigger prize that we give out every month. We might have some more information about later as well. So that's pretty exciting.
I looked a couple of days ago. We had like 55 followers on that, even though we just started, and I just looked at 83 followers. So I don't know what happened.
There you go.
Days, but yeah, no, it's fun. I think it's a good thing. And man, when you get the more people that follow and that sort of thing, the more people are in the chat. That's kind of fun. I probably chat too much when I'm there. It was like, shut up. But I'm like, I love that, man. I love hearing what he's thinking. I love it, asking him questions, and then you get some other folks that chime in, and it becomes pretty fun. So I strongly encourage it.
And if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably one of the people that likes being involved with Rec Poker kind of at a distance, maybe. So you've got it. You subscribe to the podcast for free. We do some strategy stuff here. Try out some of our other free platforms. Like I say, go to twitch.tv/Rec Poker. That's a free channel there. There's lots of educational training stuff there. Go search for the Rec Poker community on YouTube. We put out so many videos on YouTube that are either just video of our own recording sessions or specific training videos that come out there, and some fun bloopers and community stuff there too. So take advantage of the free stuff. And then for God's sake, go to rec.poker and sign up for a free account there, and use the forums and the groups and watch the other free stuff that goes on there, and join in the free events and things like that. Like, we do have this premium membership, and there's lots of ways to support us financially, but there's lots of ways to just get involved for free and splash around and have fun and learn more about poker. So we love that. Come join us.
Why would you want to have fun? I don't really understand that part.
You need to get some more sleep. We're working you too hard, buddy.
Oh, no. It's good. It is all fun. Like every time I'm engaged, there's a lot of fun stuff going on there. So check that out. Anything else that we need to chat about? There's all kinds of stuff going on, but what else do people need to know? We had all
just go to the website. Go to the website.
Yeah, go to the website. It really is the thing. Sign up for the newsletter. If you don't mind a weekly thing coming in your inbox, we try to update people on there with the big things. But yeah, the WPT, we're gonna have the events. There's gonna be an online event September 18th. So go check that out. It's the same day as our free online heads up tournament as well. So you can kind of make that a Rec Poker online day, win the heads up tournament, get the shout out on the podcast, and then go bink this $2,500 prize.
Yes.
That's one thing. Another thing, I think I'm safe. I think I'm safe saying this. We are in talks with LPP Learn Pro Poker. They're already partners with us. If you're interested in, we have affiliate relationships, we have partnerships. They give us content for the premium members as well. But we are in great conversations that are progressing to do another really cool thing with them, leveraging our home game infrastructure and then providing a pretty sweet prize. So I will just say that at this point, more details to follow. So just stay plugged in. A lot of good stuff going on.
Yeah, and I guess just again, Ryan LaPlante is contributing some information for our monthly seminar. Last month, we had Dara O'Carney pitch this large clip talking about breaking down a hand for our premium members as well. LPP and all these other pros are just a great part of what we're doing here at Rec Poker. Thanks, Steve.
All right. Well, Rob, anything else from you? He's just, if you're watching the video, he's just pretending he's hanging out at the lake.
He's just chilling at the beach.
Everything's perfect.
Because he wants to be in Minnesota, right? Or is that not Minnesota? What state is that in?
That's in Minnesota.
See, yeah, you just want to be here. I know you do.
No, I just like the background. It's a nice background.
It is a nice background for sure. Well, like we said, go to rec.poker, check out the website, sign up for the newsletter, subscribe to the podcast. If you listen to this, you're not subscribed, please subscribe. If you go to YouTube, please click that bell or whatever that subscription thing is. That helps us. It just helps us more than you realize. Do that. The podcast too. If you could rate and review, like if you listen on iTunes, go to that rate review thing. It's pretty quick. All of that stuff, all of that stuff helps us. It's ways to support us. We try to give you as much as we can for free. We probably only give you about 50 hours of content a week for free. I know it's not much, but do what you can to support us. Those small things, just retweet our stuff. All that stuff really helps us out because we're a community. Ultimately, that's what we are. And so engage, be part of the community. But thanks to Barry Carter. That was fun to meet him, connect with him. Thanks to Jim. Thanks to Rob for being part of the panel. Thanks to Running Aces Casino, Racetrack, and Hotel. Thanks to Website Amp. We'll catch you guys all next time. Take care.